videos. Oh, it's being recorded. So remember to mute yourself. And if you're having any issues with watching videos or the presentation from Kay, sometimes it's easier if you turn off your video, and then it's faster for you. If you put your questions in the chat box, we will try and watch the chat box. And if they're relevant to what Kay's talking about, I'll kind of insert them at the time if I can. And if not, we'll wait till the end and have some time for questions and answers afterwards. My name is Jovanina, and this is my husband, Woody. We are the co-Washington directors of NAME. So we are putting on this NAME speaker series in kind of partnership with other directors from Alaska and Oregon and BC, and hope to have this presentation or the speaker series go through June. Then we'll take off a little bit of time in the summer because everybody's busy in the summer, and probably start back up in the fall as it's been going so well.
And speaking of the summer, we do have our annual conference this summer. So virtual, but still awesome.
Yeah, I'll jump in with just a second about that. So we did just decide to go virtual for our summer conference, and we got some great responses to our recent survey. And so we have a great conference planning committee with our partner host in Canoe here in Canada. And we are planning lots of great virtual online experiences and crossing our fingers for local in-person field experiences if restrictions allow. So keep your eyes on our social media and our website for details as they are developed.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. All right. Kay, are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
For tonight, we are privileged to have Kay, who is NAME's president and also high school teacher at Rosemary Anderson High School. She's going to be talking with us about creating online field trips and your exploring and sharing the local ecosystem. So take it away, Kay.
Well, hi, everybody. I started making virtual field trips when I was a professor up in Alaska. I was working for the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and I was their sort of traveling statewide science professor for the Cooperative Extension Service. So as a Cooperative Extension agent, I would be sent to any group of people. It could be adults or kids, it could be graduate students or undergraduate students or kindergartners for that matter. And folks would get in touch with me and say, hey, look, I really love your aquatic insect stuff. Can you come and be in this small village for a week and do all these kinds of aquatic insect or marine biology or whatever it was that they would like to do, from labs to hands-on exploring. In the middle of winter, we're breaking through the ice, you know, with ice picks and hauling rocks out of streams at 30 below. Out in the middle of nowhere. And I had a fantastic time. But the more and more people heard about these exciting adventures, the more they wanted to be a part of it. And so I had villages from Lower Calskag to Scammon Bay to, you know, all over Southeast Alaska wanting to be a part of this too. And I physically could not be everywhere all the time. So I started making these virtual field trips, and I started filming some of the things that I was doing with kids. Sometimes kids would just get a really great idea, like, hey, you got a GoPro camera, let's drop it down into this beaver lodge and see what's down in this beaver lodge in the middle of winter. And I was like, sweet, let's do it. So we do it. And the kids would like start pulling the sticks back, and we'd start dropping this video camera in, and there were millions of fish. I mean, thousands and thousands of fish really down in this beaver dam. And they were totally in there during the winter time, like, you know, because there's water, you know, underneath the ice, but also because it was a really great place to hide. It was a really safe habitat for them to stay away from all of the larger fish that are trying to eat them all winter long. So I didn't realize that a beaver dam would be packed full of fish, but it was. And the kids would scoop down with my little dip nets and they'd pull out hundreds of fish, and they were so excited. So that started our amazing. I mean, okay, the footage that we got from that day wasn't all that great. It was a whole bunch of darkness down in the beaver dam, but the kids were really excited about filming. And so I started working with students of all ages, including the Alaska Master Naturalists that I directed up there. And I'm also an Oregon Master Naturalist. So when I go out with adults as well, I encourage them to pick up their iPhone and start filming and maybe make a little bit of film about something that they might be interested in. And so that's where I've gone from there. Now, one of the things that I've figured out is that there are lots and lots of different ways to make these virtual field trips. If you're familiar with Kahoots, they're kind of like a fun game show quiz, and you can put little snippets of video in a Kahoot and then quiz your students at the end using some of your videos. You can put them into Edpuzzles and so on and so forth. So tonight, I'm going to show you some of the videos that I've made and share some of the different ways that you can make videos. The easiest way still, though, is to take your phone and just put it into, you know, camera. You can just swipe up or swipe sideways, depending on your phone, put it into camera mode, hit video and go. And sometimes you just capture amazing stuff, teachable moments. A friend of mine caught a coyote going by the other day while she was out hiking. And so now that's a part of one of my wildlife videos. She just happened to send it to me from Massachusetts. So it's starting to grow. It's starting to become a thing, people sharing all of these video field trips, because all of us who are teachers, I'm a high school science teacher now, we need excitement, we need crazy. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen and share some of these fun videos with you. If you have a question, feel free to yell out or, you know, toss it into the chat if we're in the middle of a video. All right, sharing my screen. And wow, hold on. Right, hopefully you can see this. Hey, coming to you from the Oregon coast out there is Tarts Bay. And I wanted to share with you about Tarts Bay oysters. The reason it's an indicator species is that it tells us when the water quality in bays and estuaries, that's where our rivers meet the sea, the water quality is poor. They're actually an amazing habitat for spats or baby oysters, along with fish and crabs or bivalve shells. Have two shells. One is rounded, that's on the bottom, and one is kind of flat, or the lid that's on the top. And these guys sit in the water in the bay, either a rocky intertidal area, which is where they sit on some of the east coast, or here on the west coast, they sit in a lot of our flat bottom bays to filter feed. They can clean up to 50 gallons of water every day. So they improve our water quality in our brackish bays. They also sequester carbon, slowing down the effects of climate change, which is really important, along with providing food and refuge for fish and crabs. They enhance the ecosystem in Oregon's bays and estuaries. Me shucking an oyster here. There's an oyster. We'll see how this goes. All right. So you take the oyster shucker, and there's a little bit here where you can get a knife in. It's not easy, but you got to get it in between the two shells, and then you got to twist and cut the adductor muscle that holds them together. It's really not easy at all. In fact, we'll see how I do. I'm no pro. Just shuck an oyster, get it in there, wedge it, cut that adductor muscle, pop it open. Just like that. All right, there you go. There's the inside of an oyster. So once you get into it, there's several things. You got the stomach of the oyster here, which basically is sucking in all that estuary sand and preventing pollution, which is really great. You've got gills Okay, so the oyster has gills that basically filter all of that dissolved oxygen and pump it through its body so that it can breathe. It can also absorb some oxygen. It has lots of, its blood actually doesn't have any color to it, but it can absorb some of that into its body through lots of little capillaries. And well, mostly it's gills and guts. It has a couple of little nerves, so it actually can feel and sense what's around it a little bit, but not a whole lot. Anyway, there you go. All right, Fawn's clapping because it's one of our local folks here on the Oregon coast. All right, let me see if I can share.
Okay, there was a quick question in the chat just asking how you add the text overlay on those videos, on that video that you made.
That's a great question. All right, so one of the most important things that I've learned is that I'm going to show you some that are totally raw iPhone videos, okay? So that's what I'm going to show you here in a minute. And when I'm making a raw video, like that first one where I was trying to do the oyster shucking and whatever, it ended up being like 10 or 15 minutes or so while I'm like messing around and I'm trying to teach at the same time. I'm trying to pop up my phone on the side of a deck that I'm sitting on that's maybe 20 feet above the ground, which wasn't a really great idea. And I'm also trying to like shuck an oyster with this oyster shucker. All of this is happening at the same time. And I'm, sort of narrating as I'm trying to do all of this. So my first bit of wisdom for making these virtual field trips is you might need a buddy. You might need somebody to hold the phone for you. And the second thing is if you have WeVideo, which is what that was just made in, you might want to use it. Or if you have iVideo, anybody who has an iPhone or an iPad or like a MacBook, any kind of Apple product, you've got iVideo, which is super easy to use and really easy. You can make fun trailers and all kinds of things. So I'm going to show you a few iVideos as well. But that was basically my demonstration of a final project. So I've added in some music. My buddy Carolyn actually helped me put together that. She helped me do a lot of the cutting and pasting and putting in some of the text, And anyway, so she actually produced that from my raw video because she's got WeVideo and she's way better at it than I am. So that was a demonstration of what it looks like for a final project. So here's some more raw video. Here's what this actually looks like. This is a crab life cycle. And this was a first take, just so you know, if there's something in there that doesn't make sense. I think at some point in time, I talk about our clothes growing. Our clothes don't actually grow, but you get the idea. This is from my actual Google Classroom, by the way. I need to do some editing. Oh, I drew the pictures, so enjoy my limited artistic ability. In this bucket is crab. That's a Dungeness crab, our state crustacean. This one, believe it or not, is a live Dungeness crab. To harvest Dungeness crab, you can see his eyes down there. They come out on stalks, which is kind of cool, and antennae. They're orange to purplish. Sometimes have multiple different colors in them, but they always have 10 legs. And these back ones here aren't quite so dangerous, although they help them to move around and actually swim along the ocean floor when they're adults and juveniles. But for the first year of their life, they are actually plankton. They start out as eggs, and the eggs are held underneath the abdomen. This is actually a male crab. You can see this little pointy bit right there. It's pointy when it's a male, and it's sort of roundish when it's a female. The reason why it's round when it's a female is that that's where they hold their eggs. But The life cycle of a Dungeness crab, our state crustacean, looks like this. Dungeness crab, Cancer, Magister, life cycle. So it starts out as eggs, a whole bunch of teeny tiny little orange eggs underneath the abdomen of an adult crab, female in this case. And the male actually will go and find the female. They use a sort of a scent that the female gives out underneath the water, and the male will find the female, and they'll hang out. The male will actually protect her for a while because she has to molt or shrink her entire body and basically shove it out the backside of the shell. Once they shrink down their muscles, they actually absorb some of the calcium carbonate from the shell, shove out from the shell, and they're very, very vulnerable. In fact, they can't walk for 2 to 3 days or so, sometimes even longer after they molt. But they're crustaceans, and just like we have clothes that grow bigger with us as we grow bigger, their shells grow bigger with them, but they have to actually remove their entire body from underneath their shell, since they have a hard outer exoskeleton. And while they're vulnerable, the males protect the females and then mate with them. And the male will actually watch over the female while her body is soft and not able to protect itself by walking away or swimming away. So anyway, she lays the eggs, and then the next stage is called zoea, and that little planktonic, so it's what we call a zooplankton or an animal plankton, swims around, and it really can't go against the tide or against currents, so we call it plankton. And then it's a megalopa, and a megalopa is like a little bit bigger plankton, but the cool little parts of its tail there actually keep things from eating it, but it still can't fight the tide or the current. But eventually it becomes a juvenile crab, and actually looks like the adults when it's a juvenile crab, but it's just very, very small, size of a dime or smaller. And they sink to the bottom and start walking around the bottom. It takes about a year for the crabs actually to start looking like a crab. And then they can live around 8 to 10 years as an adult crab. Some of the adult crabs get to be pretty big. All right. So maybe you made it through all of that because you're nice, but that's what a really raw first shot at a video after I've like sketched out with my colored pencils kind of video looks like. You can tell the difference between the first virtual field trip and the second one, right? There's a big difference between something that is just shot, with the phone. All right. Now I'm going to try and do something, kind of tricky. We'll see if it works. I'm going to switch from using my computer to my phone because I want to show you what it might look like to do what's called a trailer. So if you've ever played with your iPhone and you've gone to iMovie, you'll notice that there are a couple of different things that you can do. You can either shoot a movie and you can play around with putting some songs in the background or various different kinds of elements of noise that you want to put in there. And you can put in little, words and blurbs and splashes of like, things that come along every now and then like I did in the other video. But one of the coolest things you can do with your iPhone or iPad is to create a movie trailer. So here we are. If I'm starting a unit and I want kids to get really excited about invertebrates, I might create a trailer. So here we go. I'm going to actually cut out the sound on my computer and switch to my phone because this is actually what I do in my Google Classroom a whole lot all the time. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me still? Yeah, okay, good. Awesome, thank you. All right, so now I'm going to share my screen on my phone. All right. And I'm going to stop sharing on my computer. Hopefully this will work. All right, this is so fun. And with any luck, you'll be able to see this. All right. Can you see my phone? No. It's not on. Screen share is not working. Sorry, give me 1 minute here. This hopefully it'll work. Okay, good. Nope.
Do you want to hold it up to your computer camera?
Yeah, worst comes to worst, we'll do that. All right, let's give it a try. I don't know why it's not working, but hold on. I can't, there we go. All right, a little crazy. Okay, hopefully you can still hear me.
Yes, we can still hear you. And
Okay,
got
good.
lots of good kudos for your last video.
Great. Sorry that didn't work sharing directly off of my phone, but I'll try and make a copy of this and send it to you all so you can see. But basically you have all of these different styles of movie trailers that you can use that are within the iMovie system. So if you have an iPhone, play around with making a trailer. I swear it'll walk you through it. And the 9-year-old in my house taught me how to do that. So if a 9-year-old can do it, so can you. So don't be afraid, play around with it. You just need a bunch of photos or a few snippets of video, and you can make a fun movie trailer that introduces maybe a whole new concept that you haven't thought about before. Okay, so here's another wee video that my housemate also helped me make. This one on a dissection. So a lot of us like to do dissections, right? Kids love dissections, adults love dissections, right? But if you hold up some sort of a form or a poster and you're like, okay, now we're going to dissect something, and first you're going to make a midline incision, whatever, you're going to bore people to death. So my encouragement is use a video, use a fun video field trip idea. Here's an example of how I might do a dissection. Again, those of you who are marine biologists, I'm not a marine biologist. I just play marine educator. Now, really, truly, I taught marine biology a little bit at Alaska Pacific University, but I was, an adjunct professor, so I'm not perfect. So if there's anything in here that's not true, all right, you know, that's not what my graduate degree is. I actually have a Master of Science in Outdoor Environmental Education. So that's what I do. I teach outdoors. Beyond that, you know. All right, here we go. In Alaska Native tradition, you would hold on to 5 of the legs with one hand, and the other 5 with the other hand, and bonk the nose of the crab to kill it. So that's what I'm going to do. Here we go. Here's how you get your food, Alaska Native style. Not everybody kills a crab like this, but this is how it's done. You bonk the nose like this, and that kills the crab. It also, do it hard, pulls off the carapace. I might add, I usually do that on the bow of a boat. So this is the carapace, and what you're seeing inside here is some of the guts of the crab, okay? But what I'm going to show you are some of the pieces here. So these are the gills of the crab, all right? And these gills, basically, the crab can actually force water in right behind its mouth here into these gills and circulate water even when the crab is out of water. Most of the time it's in the water and it circulates dissolved oxygen through these gills. When you pull the gills off, you get to this point where they're attached to part of the mouth. And these little bits of the mouth actually force the water or flap the water, kind of like little flippers into the gills. So you're going to pull those little flippers off. Okay, here's some of the feeding mouth parts of the crab. I'm going to turn it over so you can see a little better. These guys kind of shovel in all the food, okay? So crabs are omnivores just like us. They'll eat nearly anything, dead or alive. They'll go after live things. They'll scavenge all kinds of dead things. And remember, most of what you eat is a dead thing too. So those are its little shovelly mouth parts. All right. These little squiggly bits here, those are its testes. This is a male crab, all right? And this is its heart. So there you go. Those are the main parts of a crab. And when you're cleaning it, you take the abdomen, which is this part right here. All right, you take that, you pull it out. And those other squidgy bits down, you see that down there, that's part of its gut for how it digests its food. Crack it in half. Shake guts out. Right, there you go. Cracking, cleaning your crab, take off the mouth parts. Now what's mostly left here is muscle, and this is part of the body, the other half of the body, and the 10 legs that are really good to eat. There you go. That's cracking and eating crab and little crab dissection with Professor K.
I love that you put yummy.
Yummy. Again, kudos to my housemate, Carolyn Dishman, who helped me make that movie from the extensive raw footage that it was at the beginning. I went over way too much material, blah, 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 everything I know about crabs, all kinds of things, what each of their legs are called, whatever. Eventually, you can end up doing that and expand upon it in class, but it's good to start off, if you're going to start off, you know, talking about, let's say, arthropods or whatever it is that you're sharing about, or maybe just how to crack crab. It's fun to start out with a fun video like this, especially if you have to teach online, which hopefully all of us won't have to do much longer. But you know what I also have found is that these have really come in handy, because now I have a whole new Q3 group of students that just started today. Starting today, I was just teaching some of the stuff in class, and it's really helpful to have all these videos. I have 20 some odd of them now. I'm going to show you some aquatic stuff too, because you might say to yourself, hey, look, do you just teach about marine species? No, I teach about aquatic species. I'm an aquatic and marine educator. And so you're going to see a little bit of both. All right, so let's get rid of this guy and get on to.
So Kay, I'm not sure if you answered this already, but in the program, is that how you cut and paste different images, or you add in the text over the top of the image?
Oh,
And
thank
what
you.
program is it that you're using?
It's the program. So thank you for, I didn't answer that fully. So you can use either iMovie, WeVideo, or a number of other different programs. There are a ton of them out there that will allow you. And Edpuzzle, I'm actually going to show you right now how to do it in Edpuzzle, because the easiest thing to do is to take any video that's out there on YouTube, but make your own videos because it's fun. And I bet you, because I've done it for years now, that your students will have more fun listening to you and watching you in videos than they will watching some other video. But you can take any video and you can go to Edpuzzle. So I'm going to do that now, if my screen will allow me to do that. Here we go. All right, in Edpuzzle, you can sort your different videos into whatever classrooms you have. So right now I have all kinds of different classrooms, but you can take any video and you can even search content, right? So let's say that I want to teach about, I don't know, let's say seals. You can search any content and there'll be a ton of videos out there, or you can just choose one from YouTube or from anywhere. All right. So lots and lots and lots of videos about seals out there, right? And then you can take any video. It's so easy. Let's take elephant seals, right? And you can just click on that video. All right. Now this is an 11-minute video. Maybe I don't want to watch my 11-minute video with students. My experience is that about 3 to 5 minutes at the most is what will allow for attention span. I know that sounds ridiculous, but most of my students, including my adult students, 3 to 5 minutes. So I can, within Edpuzzle here, take any video, one that I've shot or one that's existing out there, and I can edit it. So I have to, hold on, get rid of this little thing here because it's in the way. Here we go. Okay, there we go. All right, so you see my screen right now. Everybody can see my screen, right? Okay, good. So I've got the elephant seal video here. I can go over and I hit edit. This is so easy. Anybody can do this. I promise you, I am not great at this. I just learned how. Again, I'm gonna move this little goober. Okay. So now that I've hit edit, I can cut different parts of this video. Up here, I just have to hit the word cut. I can voice over different parts of the video. So you were asking me, you know, hey, what can you do? You can voice over, you can ask questions. So I'm going to hit questions here and we're going to watch the video, and somebody shout out, go ahead, take yourself off mute if you want to, shout out when you want me to make a question in the video, but I'm going to give you an example of where I might want to make a question too. So here we go. I'm going to start the video. We're actually going to do this together. It's going to be fun.
A KQED-HD production.
So I cut that part out.
Every winter, thousands of very loud, large visitors storm the beaches of Año Nuevo State Reserve, a jagged stretch of coastline 60 miles south of San Francisco. They attract quite a following among the curious and the intrepid, who trek for miles up sandy dunes and past coastal brush to glimpse these denizens of the deep.
Over there, you see an alpha bull fighting another guy who wants to be an alpha bull.
All right, so maybe we want to ask the question now, what does alpha bull mean, right? So then we just hit an open-ended question up here on the right-hand side, right? I just hit that button and you can type in your question here, like, what do you think alpha bull means? And you could put alpha bull in quotation marks, you know, use, you know, proper grammar, all that kind of stuff. Okay, what do you think alpha bull means? And just leave it as an open-ended question. So I just hit save. And then the magic is, see this little drop down here, that little teardrop? That tells me that I've inserted a question into the movie. Okay, so I've got this little video, it's got a question. Then I just hit play again.
You don't even want to think about how that guy in the water feels.
50,000 tourists a year come to see the marine mammals during their breeding season, from December through March.
I like elephant seals because they don't look like any other animals. They are huge.
Elephant seals are the largest seals in the world. Male.
Okay, so maybe now I want to put in a multiple choice question or a note. Like, they may be the largest seals in the world, but they're also the deepest divers in the world, right? They dive down way, way, way deep. Or maybe I want to ask a multiple choice question. So I can just type in my question here. So what might a question be? It doesn't have to be about something they've talked about. It could be like, what on earth is that big thing doing on the front of their face, right? Why?
What is their big long nose for?
Yeah, yeah. Why do they have a huge nose? What is it for? Because at this point in time, some of your students might be asking that. All right. So if it has an X over here, that's a wrong question. So let's type a wrong question. Let's say snorkeling. Right? All right. And then maybe another wrong question might be, I don't know, or maybe a right question. So what would an example of a right question be? Why does the elephant seal have such a large proboscis nose?
To attract a girlfriend.
Yeah, yeah. To attract girlfriends. The students will love that, right? So green means it's a right answer. Red X means it's a wrong answer, right? This is so easy. You can totally do this, right? And then you just go down here and hit save. Always hit save.
Northern
And continue.
northern elephant seals can be up to 16 feet long and weigh up to 4,500 pounds. Brawn trumps brains as the males fight for the much smaller females who congregate in harems dotting Año Nuevo, which would.
Okay, so you get the idea. You can go to Edpuzzle and I can take any one of my videos that I've made or somebody else's video like I'm demonstrating here. You can search anything and Edpuzzle will lead you to thousands and thousands of videos, even Edpuzzles with questions already attached that somebody else has done. So nice. And you can edit those. So I've taken lots of Edpuzzles that were, say, 11 minutes and 45 seconds like this one, and I've made them shorter. And I've edited the questions because maybe I didn't like the question. Like someone would say, how much does an elephant seal weigh? Well, I'm not going to ask my students that because that's not really what I want them to come away with, right? Begin with the end in mind. What is it that I want them to come away with? Well, I want them to think about how elephant seals interact, what their habitat is like, what their niche is in their community, right? I want them thinking like an ecologist. Well, that's my preference anyway. And so, but also they're teenagers. My students are high school students. So if I ask them a question about breeding or why they have a big nose, well, they're maybe going to pay attention because they're like, oh, attracting mates. Yeah, right. So there you go. Edpuzzle, a super great tool for making virtual field trips. And here's the key thing about Edpuzzle. Not only is it super easy to use, I promise 5 minutes with this thing and you'll figure it out. But also these little question mark jobbers down here, it forces interaction to some degree. And I hate to use the word force it, but let's say it keeps your student engaged, right? Whoever your students are, if they're just watching a video and they don't have some questions or things going on, they may or may not be engaged. But what it does is it stops your video every minute or 30 seconds or so and asks a question. And then your audience has to respond back. And that's a really good way to go.
Kay, can you talk for a minute like about what the student view of Edpuzzle is? Like, do they view it asynchronously and then do you get all their answers? And when do they interact with the questions that you've written?
Totally great question. So both is the answer. So I could present an Edpuzzle just like this, like I am doing with you guys tonight. Now let's say that I'm done with this video. All I have to do is hit finish up here, right? Then I've got this video, and when I'm actually showing it to students, I will hit, you know, full screen just like that. And I'll show the video like this, right? I'll just hit it. So I'm in my classroom and I'm sharing it like this, right? And so we'll watch the video and blah, blah, blah. We'll come to the question. So I'm going to move it ahead. You come here, come here. We move up here to this question, right? And this is what'll pop up on the screen. So during my class, this is what you'll see. What do you think alphabol means, right? And you'll actually have to type in your screen what it is, right? Or maybe I'm working with a student, which I often do, that have a hard time either typing or writing or whatever. So maybe I'll ask them, they'll respond, and then I'll type it into the chat or the box that's right here, right? So all they have to do is click onto that box on their screen and answer it. Now, this is also in my Google Classroom though. So all my Google Classroom students, let's say they don't want to do their work right now. They don't want to get up at 10 o'clock in the morning. They want to do their work at midnight or 2 in the morning. Fine. They click on this Edpuzzle. They answer all the questions as they go through it. And I can go back into Edpuzzle and I can see all their answers and grade their questions. Why is this helpful? Well, not only do I know how much of the video they watched, which is totally helpful, but I also know how, if they're getting the material because they're answering the questions. And if you're one of the people like me who has to do proficiency grading, I can see the proficiency right there. They're answering correctly throughout the video, right? So now I've not only created a virtual field experience, right, with my students, you know, hopefully I'm sharing some tidbits and insider information here and there throughout the video, but they're answering and giving me understanding. And so I can see that they're proficient in what it is that I'm trying to teach.
So does it give you one report for each student who watched the video?
Yes. And so does Kahoot, and so does Newsela, and so many other things that you can utilize. And you can pair any one of these virtual field trips with, say, a Newsela article that's like 2 or 3 pages long. And so now you get some students who are maybe reading a little bit more background and watching the video. Then maybe you do a Kahoot at the end. And a lot of my classes, at the end of the day or the end of the week, I'll do a Kahoot and we'll share. And I'll actually share a Kahoot here in a minute, and we'll share some of those things that that they should have been picking up throughout the week. It's like a little quiz show. All right, let me stop talking about it and actually show you. Get out of here. Go on.
And we have about 10 more minutes until the hour is up. So just
all right. Well, I want to be able to take questions too. So don't let me do one freshwater thing then. And
okay. You can show Kahoots. I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you for being a timekeeper. I have a phone here, but it's not set on clock for me. How do I get out of the screen? Where's my little, make the screen smaller. There we go. All right, let's get out of Edpuzzle here. Here's my little Google Classroom, Health and Life Science. I'm going to go into classwork and native aquatic species. So I not only have marine biology, but I've got aquatic species as well. We're going to take a look at one of these videos. That's kind of fun. All right, here we go. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to share this video with you, I was trying to play 2 things, is that sometimes teachable moments happen. Things are unexpected. You kind of got to go with it. This is one of those days. So I'm here with my brother Mark in a kind of cool wetland space here. You can see some geese and goslings over there, and little nutria swimming right toward us right now. Nutria is kind of like a gigantic rat or a beaver with a rat tail, if you will. biggest beaver. Kind of cute. But if you see them swimming around your nearby golf course or park or wherever you might be, you're going to be eating all kinds of stuff that they find. They don't build dams like beaver do. There you can see them eating some grass right there. He's just taking a little lunch break, this little nutria, grabbing a little grass to eat. Now beaver are different from nutria. They don't eat the grass. They actually chew down shrubs and trees and eat the inner layer of the trees and shrubs bark called the cambria, which is sweet. That's where we get maple syrup from the sap in the trees, right? So basically beaver are going after that sweet layer. Not this nutria though. He's also a rodent, but he's going to be eating grasses. Like this little patch he's found right here in the wetland. They're really good swimmers. They've got webbed back feet. Kenai. Can I get out? Kenai, wonder dog, just ruining our little encounter with the nutria. Who swam off, but he's coming back. Sorry. You are in a lot of trouble. Anyhow, there you go. A wildlife encounter with a nutria here in Southwest Portland Park. All right, take it easy. Go out to your local wetland, see what you can find. We're looking for all kinds of cool stuff today. All right, so as you can tell, I didn't expect my dog to go jump in and after that nutria, but Kenai did, and this is one of my students' favorite videos because the unexpected happened, right? And this is how I open up our unit on wetlands. So when I encourage students to go out to their local wetlands to bike or take the bus or walk or whatever, to try and find a stream or pond or local wetland by them in Portland, it's not always easy because lots of parts of Portland have been drained, and many of my students really have to go to great lengths to get to a wetland, which is super sad. And it is the case that a lot of my students are sort of smack down in the middle of the hood, and it's a tough neighborhood to find a wetland in. So anyway, there you go. I'm going to share one more, unless there are any questions that folks have. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to share one more, and here we go. Trying to remember which one is which. We'll go with that one. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Again, this is raw footage. Here we are at my local wetland. Wanted to show you a couple more things. First of all, there's kind of a cool bird that just flew by over there, landed in the brush, picking up some things for net. I got Mark's pulling things out here with a net. Mosquito fish. He just got a little fish there. He's got a couple fish swimming in there. Oh, another little fish. Some ducks going by. But look, there we got a snail here. And this cool looking thing, that is a dragonfly larva. So dragonfly larvae have 6 legs, just like a dragonfly will later. And they've got a cool jaw that juts out from the front of their mouth and grabs their prey. And they look like crazy cool monsters right up until they metamorphosize and turn into a dragonfly. They start out as eggs in the water, just like all these aquatic insects do. Mosquitoes, mayfly, dragonfly, stonefly. There he is. All right. A little bit of wetland hunting. Enjoy. Okay, So sometimes even the short little snippets can be a lot of fun. And a lot of my kids may have never, ever turned over a rock and checked out what is in their local stream or river. But we talk about cobblestones, and the fact that most of them have played Minecraft comes into play here, because they talk about cobble and how they can go and find a fist-sized piece of rock, turn it over, and look for aquatic insects. So there's a lot of mayflies, dragonflies, that they might find. And, you know, I encourage them to go out, and I actually send them little packets with these handy dandy little mailers with like a little dip net and a little, you know, field lens, and, you know, maybe even a field microscope. And by the way, if you haven't figured out, there are these little currency microscopes. I'm not sure where my nearest one is, but they're teeny tiny, they're super lightweight and easy to mail out to folks. And they only cost about $3 or $4. They're made in China, but the cool thing is they magnify up to 60 times, and they have a light on them. So this little thing that's only like, you know, $3 or $4 can magnify 60 times, and taking a look at aquatic insects with them is pretty awesome. I also really love Microscopes. So if you haven't checked out Microscopes, they're like an unbreakable microscope. They're heavier though, so taking them out into the field, you know, you want a little wagon or cart, you know, a sturdy backpack to haul those guys in. But anyway, there you go. Virtual field trips are super fun. You can, by the way, use your iPhone and you can video through a microscope. And there are actually lots and lots of different apps that allow you to use a microscope with your iPhone too, and to magnify just with your iPhone. So those are a few little tips that I wanted to share with you tonight on making video field trips fun and exciting. Try the trailer app in iMovie. You'll get mind blown. It's super fun. Okay, any last questions in the last couple of minutes that we have? Thank you all for coming tonight and playing video field trips, little regional wander through Oregon for you. And remind me, I have a fun one on teaching in Alaska that I will send out to folks if they're interested.
Do you want to unshare your screen
Yeah.
and see everybody's faces?
And Kay, any links or things that you mentioned during your talk, I've already linked to our speaker page, and any others that you think of that people might be interested in, you could just email to me, and then I will also put those on the speaker page.
Absolutely. And if you have questions, feel free to get in touch with me. I love to help folks out, and I have a whole book on how to do reflective storytelling and do a variety of different fun, interactive, engaging games and activities with students. So just ask and I will be happy to share. And I know that I've said that before, but I now actually have a PDF of my entire book as well as the individual chapters. So it's easier for me to share that. So if you're interested in what reflective storytelling looks like and how to make some of these things come to life and sharing in a story fashion, that's what I love to do. So.
Right, you're getting lots of thank yous. Thank you so much. Thank you in our chat. Is there anybody who has any questions? This is your time.
Well, I've never seen a Kahoot, so I was just wondering what that looks like.
Sure. So go to kahoot.com. That's KAHOOT.com. And actually I can share my screen if you want to hang out for a minute here and pull up Kahoot.
It's kind of like a game show, right? Like
yeah.
I played it
So
once.
They're super fun.
Yeah, they're super fun. Actually, I can go from my Google Classroom and share a Kahoot on oceanography if you're interested. But I have, they're like a game show, and basically they're super easy and my students love them. And I have like all kinds of different students, but I know that teachers all over the place from college all the way down use them. And the reason is you can import videos, you can import pictures, and each question comes up and they basically just hit a color on the screen for an answer. So it's like playing a game show, but it's really fun because it pauses after each question. So you can add in more information as a teacher. And anyway, they're really fun. So if you don't have to go, I will be happy to share a Kahoot and show you what they look like.
And each kid can play them, like each kid that has their own device can play them. And you can play them from a Chromebook or computer or iPhone or like any device that they have. And you can play them if the kids aren't in the same room. So you can show a Kahoot virtually, and then all the kids can log into their own device in their own home, and then they can play the Kahoot together. So it's a great way to like build community even when like not everyone's in the same room.
Right. And that what Jen is describing is one of the best parts of Kahoot. You can share it in real time and play the game against your kids, and they love to challenge you. And I always give them double points if they can beat me. So, or tie my score, whatever. It makes them more competitive, and competition is a good thing. And then also, you can set it to be a challenge. So let's say that one of my students missed the last month of classes, but they really want to demonstrate to me that they've got the information, they did the readings, and they're proficient at whatever, life science. So they can do a whole bunch of Kahoots. Like I have a Kahoot on marine biology, I have another one on oceanography, and so on and so forth. And let's say that they just do this whole stream of Kahoots, from interactions to adaptations to, you know, food webs to whatever. They can play that challenge anytime they want to, and it feels like they're playing in real time against all these other people who have played already. So it'll, as they do each question, it feels like they're playing others. And I can give you an example of that in a minute. So it's really fun. And basically you just have to download Kahoot onto your tablet or your phone. And once you have the app, you can jump in and play anytime.
And my son's teacher actually has the students make a Kahoot themselves as part of an assessment, or, you know, showing their knowledge. So you could turn the tables on them and ask them to make you a Kahoot as well.
Absolutely. And many of the ones that my students have made are hysterical. Like they're all about scat and, you know, whatever. And they're like, you know, eating chocolate and licking their fingers. And we're all like molding edible scat with chocolate and coconut and bits and things. And we talk about, you know, how coyotes, for instance, eat all kinds of stuff, and the bones get churned, and the coconut and the scat looks like bones. Anyway, the students have made some hysterical Kahoots, and it's a great final project, right? Instead of an actual test or a quiz, they really like it a whole lot better.
Cool. We do have a question in the chat. It says, how to request reflective storytelling book?
Great question. All right, so I'm going to put my phone number into the chat, and it's best if you just text me, because I have hundreds and hundreds of emails, and it's just really better that you text me. So here's my phone.
Okay, great. And then I also noticed that Janice is on tonight, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but Janice, if you wanted to give a little plug for next month's talk, would you be interested in that?
Sure, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit about the crayfish study. Rick Reynolds is actually coordinating it for me, but we'll all be there. So if you want to learn more, the crayfish study is definitely moving forward. We've got an EPA grant this last year, a 2-year EPA grant. And so lots of stuff is coming online over the next 2 years for our crayfish projects. And we've already got teachers out there that are finding species in places that we didn't know that they were occurring. So pretty cool. Also, the crayfish study, we have people from all over the continent participating. For some reason, we have a lot of people from Ohio. Word got spread in Ohio about the crayfish, so they've been joining us quite extensively. So yeah, that's what we're going to do at the end of, 1st of March.
March 1st, yeah.
I'll also give a plug that we are doing our virtual crayfish training. It will be March 23rd, 24th, and 31st. Sounds like a lot. It's just a few hours each day. And for Washington State, we're offering free STEM clock hours. It will be 10 clock hours. It's for someone who completes that whole thing. And we're doing our, the Master Water Stewards training will be February 23rd and March 2nd. So we have lots of stuff coming up. Our crayfish conference is April 12th, possibly 13th. We're still sorting out when speakers are available, and it will be virtual too. We've jumped headlong into virtual.
Yeah.
It's been going really well. It's nice. I like virtual. This fits really well with what you're talking about, virtual field trips. I like virtual because people who can't travel, you know, getting to an in-person training can be difficult. And so we've been able to reach people with virtual training in place. They're like, thank you. I never would have been able to attend an in-person training. So I think that's really cool. We will be keeping virtual. We'll do virtual and in-person. We were hoping we could do an in-person in June, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know yet, but we will be back to doing in-person as soon as they clear that for us. So
All
yeah,
right.
join us.
Thank
Join
you
us.
so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you guys.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Any last minute questions? And then Kay, you said you were gonna.
Yeah, I see in the chat, Kay, that there it is. That's all.
Okay. Okay. And Jim, you had your hand up for a second. Did you have a question?
I was just, first I was waving goodbye to Janice
Oh, okay.
because I had taken that 3-day training and really enjoyed it. And then I've interacted with Rick Reynolds quite a bit after. But I really enjoyed this name experience.
Oh, good.
Very
Well,
nice.
thank you so much for joining.
Yeah.
It sounded like, Kay, if there was somebody who wanted to stick around and watch your Kahoot, you were going to pull that up next. Otherwise, I think we should just let everybody else go.
Just to remind everybody about the board meeting.
Yeah, board members, if you'd stay on a little longer, we were going to talk right at the end to board members.
Actually, part of my trivia, you know, true or false things was February 20th is 21st is our annual board member meeting, and everyone is invited to attend. True or false? And the answer is true. Everybody can attend the board meeting virtually. Obviously, board members are the ones who would be the voting members, but it's really important for everybody to take the time to attend one of our board meetings and find out what happens with your organization. My 2 cents worth.
Yeah,
so,
that's
yay.
a really good point, Fawn. Yeah, we're always open to having the public and others, educators, come visit the board because we are always looking for new members. So I would say contact Jen Magnuson for the information.
Yeah, so
once
the date is finalized, there's a little bit of back and forth on that still. Once the date is finalized, it will be coming up here toward the end of February. All of our members will get an email inviting them to the virtual board meeting. It's going to be about 3 hours, and we talk about the different things that the different chapters have done this last year and what they're planning for the next year. And just kind of check in with where NAME is right now and where we're going in the next year. So look for that email. I will also post it on our social media channels, and it will also be a call out box on our website. So there's lots of different ways that you'll be able to see that information, and we really hope to see you guys there.
Thanks, Jen. All right.
Thank you,
Kay,
Jen.
Pass it back to you if you want to show the Kahoot.
Yeah. All right. So let me.
Bye to anybody else who is saying goodbye. Thanks for coming. Thank you for coming, everybody. If you're heading out, bye.
All right. I'm going to share a little Kahoot on marine biology. So if you're interested, you have to set up yourself in Kahoot, which is just really easy. Just go to kahoot.com. So that's KAHOOT.com. And you have to set up a little login. So that's what I'm doing. I'm logging in right now. We're going to play the marine biology Kahoot in just a minute. The cool thing about Kahoots is not only tells you what your students did and how many points they did and how far they went in. The basic Kahoot is free, which is really cool. But if you want the like super duper pro, like teacher educator version, it's only $6 a month. So really, it's not too expensive, which is great. Like you know, advanced one is like $3 a month, you know. So if you can't milk that money out of your school, I end up paying for it myself sometimes. It's okay. But the cool thing is that it shows you all of the Kahoots that you have. And all right, so I'm going to share my screen now so you can actually see what I'm talking about. I'll do my little oceanography review here. We'll see how you guys do. Marine educators. All right, let me get big here, share my screen. There we go. All right. And thank you for your patience tonight. I always appreciate it. All right, so this is a teacher view, and you can create and edit all you want. But then you can hit play. All right. So I just pulled up oceanography review. All right. Now let's say that I want to assign it. This is a challenge I have in progress. But basically I can say, okay, I want it to go through whatever, the end of the quarter. Somewhere it's like that. And I want it to end at this particular time, and I can random the answers, but I don't want to do that. I can set a timer or not. I can generate nicknames for my students if I want to, but whatever. Your player limit is 100, so you're going to be okay. So here's how Kahoot starts. All right, this is what you get to see. Now you can cut and paste this URL. So I just hit copy URL, right? And then I could put that in the chat, right? If you had Kahoot already on your phone or iPad, I just give you this game pin here. So this, whatever 7 or 8 digit number, the students would just put that pin into their Kahoot. So if you have Kahoot opened up already, this game pin is 03221752. And I just put that in the chat typically when I'm playing with students. All right, but sometimes you can also share directly to Google Classroom or to Teams, or Facebook, even to Remind. So let's say I have all my students on Remind and I also have them all in Google Classroom. So I can just shoot this URL to the Remind for the day for those students who didn't come to class, or I can shoot it into Google Classroom and connect it to another assignment. And so once they're done with the assignment, I tell them to play the Kahoot. Maybe they did well. We're going to play the challenge though. You're going to play along with me though. I'm not going to tell you the answers. You got to shout them out. So take yourself off mute. I'm going to treat you just like I treat my high school students. Don't be on mute. Yell it out. All right, so here's how the game goes, all right? So I'm going to just put myself in here. This kayak. And here we go. All your students are going to choose names. You got to figure out what their nicknames are. That's the hardest part. Here's our quiz, and there's actually sound that goes along with this, but I'm going to spare you. You'll hear it a little bit. You have only enough time. Oh, I got to move this. What are the 2 most abundant salts dissolved in ocean water? You have 6 seconds. Come on now.
Calcium and chloride.
Think calcium and chloride, huh?
I don't know.
Sodium chloride. Thank you for answering though. Good job, Margie. All right, sodium and chloride, right? Why are the 2 most abundant salts dissolved in ocean waters? Sodium and chloride, right? NaCl, right? That is salt, right? So if we've got a whole bunch of salt water, right? Ocean water is made up of those 2 salts. Most often, there's lots of other, certainly there's calcium in there, you know, because all of those shellfish are making, you know, their shells with calcium, but sodium and chloride are the most abundant. All right. So we're playing, I'm playing somebody. Awesome. Go Pack North. Way to go. Warm surface currents originate near the, what do you think? I'm going to move this
Equator.
Yeah, the equator. Good. Good job. And it gives you a little picture here, right? For a little bit of help. All right, here we go. Hit next. See how easy this is? Anybody can do this. The most abundant elements in ocean water are, what do you think? I'll give you a hint. The chemical signature for water is
Hydrogen and oxygen.
Yeah, good. Way to go. All right. You can do this all day. See how fun it is? And my kids have a great time competing with each other as we're playing this. And the faster you answer, the more points you get. What primary force powers ocean surface currents? It's a primary force.
Wind.
Wind. You get this fun little tone that goes up every time you're right. It goes do 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 when you're wrong.
We can hear you, dear.
All right. The surface current that brings warm water north along the east coast of the United States. Ooh, this one's a little harder.
The Gulf Stream.
Gulf Stream.
Good job. You guys got some smart folks here. How does temperature change with increasing depth in the ocean?
Goes down. Decreases.
Right.
Some change.
All right.
Is that Yogi?
Yeah.
That's Yogi.
Not so. Are we part of Pac North, Kay, or what?
I am not. That's I'm guessing Jen Magnuson maybe.
Oh, gave herself a nickname?
I'm only guessing. I could be wrong.
Is it Domino's Pizza that supports this?
That's a great question. All right, what's the uppermost layer of the ocean, y'all?
Epipelagic.
Yeah.
So you
Epipelagic. So bathy is actually deep. Epipelagic is the top. Meso's in the middle. The abyss is the way bottom. It's all right. It's all right. But good job for yelling at the answer. You're doing great. Epipelagic's the very top. So you think about the coral reefs and all our little turtle friends. They live in that top epi, just like the epidermis is a top layer of our skin.
Oh.
Shifting of surface currents from their expected paths caused by the rotation of the Earth.
Coriolis.
Nice. I get really excited if anybody yells out an answer. This is high school teaching today.
Increases.
Good. Water pressure increases as you go deeper in the ocean. Nice. You know, I didn't even have to explain the chart.
It's pressure. It's all pressure. Pressure.
Pressure. The pressure. Where's new ocean floor forming? This one's a little harder.
In the ocean.
In the ocean, right? But where? Which part of the ocean here? What's that?
At the ridge.
The ridge, mid-ocean ridge.
Yes.
Good job, Nina, with the answer. Excellent. All right, so a little tricky, right? You've got your little tectonic plate action happening here.
So when you're teaching, then you would kind of stop after and kind of just explain the different areas and what they are. And okay.
Exactly. And sometimes, and that's a great point, and thank you for asking, sometimes I will start a unit with a Kahoot just to see where my learners are, right? How much oceanography have they understood before? Maybe they took an oceanography class in middle school for all I know, or maybe they just really dig oceanography. So some students might have no knowledge. I had some kids who had no idea what a snail was in high school, and they just didn't know. I mean, these are really super urban kids, and many of them have only been, you know, like a few, maybe a mile or two away from their home. And so they've never actually interacted with a lot of things. So sometimes I will start with a, you know, maybe a simpler version of Kahoot or whatever, but to see where their learning is at the beginning. But typically we'll do this at the end of the unit. And if they didn't get the question right, then I'll definitely go through and explain all the different parts of the topography, which is important in oceanography. It's one of the 5 different keystone bits of oceanography, right? It's the topography of the floor.
It would be cool to do it at the beginning and the end and let them see how much they've learned too.
Grown and learned, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's really good practice as a teacher too, to be able to quantify the fact that you've taught somebody something.
Yeah.
Cold surface currents originate near the
Holes.
Yeah. Brr, it's cold up there in Alaska. Swam in those waters. The ocean current that brings warm water north into the Gulf of Mexico. Huge points if you know this one.
California.
California current.
It's
Now-
a loop current. Sorry.
Oh,
It loops in here. All right. So the Gulf of
Loop
Mexico
current.
has this loop, and part of the reason it has a loop,
Oh, it's the Gulf of Mexico.
the
sorry.
Gulf of Mexico, right? You've got the Caribbean islands, right? So it
Yeah.
loops around those Caribbean islands. The California current's on the other
course.
side of
hey,
California.
this side, duh! Sorry,
How does visibility change with increasing depth in the ocean?
Decreases.
decrease.
Yeah.
It depends though, water gets clearer.
I was gonna
There's
say
less
there's
light.
Yeah.
less plankton down deeper, so
True that.
what is
And
the
when
why
it's
is
fresh-
visibility
Upwelling.
increasing?
Nice. Upwelling, often caused by whales too. So if you haven't taken a look at rewilding, check out whales and how they cause upwelling. It's pretty cool. Oh, put me ahead of Pag North there. Oceans may have formed on Earth due to the impacts of
Comets and asteroids.
Yeah. One of the reasons why we're testing for water on those things. Nice job, Mary.
Yes, Mary.
Removing salt from ocean water to create fresh water.
Desalination.
Yeah. You guys are great. We're almost done.
We're on a 4 streak winning.
To measure the amount of salt in salt water.
Salinity.
Yeah, good job.
Saliva.
You guys done the 3-cup experiment where you have fresh water in 1 cup and like a tablespoon of dissolved salt in the middle cup and like a whole bunch of salt in the 3rd cup?
No.
Little salinity, density, buoyancy experiment. So you
fun.
take 3 hard-boiled eggs and
Yeah.
some warm water. So you put the same amount of warm water, like half a glass, in each glass, right? One is
Yeah.
fresh water, one is like 1 tablespoon of salt, and the other one is like a freak ton of salt. And you stir it up till it dissolves in, right? And I talk about dissolved oxygen with this actually, because kids don't actually get dissolved oxygen until we stir in the salt. And then I'm like, look, the salt is dissolved into the water. It's similar to how oxygen dissolves into water and allows fish to breathe underwater. So anyway, we dissolve the salt. And then if you had to make a hypothesis, you put a boiled egg in your super salty water, your, let's say, estuary water, right? That just has 1 tablespoon of salt maybe, and your fresh water, say a lake, all right? So you put your boiled egg in each of these, what happens?
It floats more in the salty one.
It floats more in the what?
In the salty one.
In the salty one, right? So in the ocean glass with the ton of salt, it floats really well. It's way up at the top. And what about the estuary glass?
Medium float.
Yeah, medium float. And then in the freshwater, it doesn't float as well, right? It's super great because you can teach about salinity, buoyancy, and density all at the same time. All right, there you go. There's my little fun
And
with.
you can eat the eggs.
And for kids who swim in local salt water versus freshwater, they can also notice that they float better in the
Exactly.
in the ocean.
Exactly.
I see you have saliva down for one of those options on the last question.
I throw in lots of weird stuff, and sometimes I throw in like really goofy stuff just to keep them, especially when you're getting to like question 17 or 18. Normally I try and keep Kahoots to like 10 to 15 questions. This one's much longer, but it's like an end of the quarter review. Body of water moving into depth of
Current.
ocean. Nice, current. Good job.
Thank you.
Well done.
Or something than the
Oceanic crust is more blank than continental crust. All right, what's happening with our crusts? They're coming together, right? The oceanic crust goes under and subducts under our North American crust, right? So it is more dense. Good job. I have them do the fist thing every time. Like, oh, tough. Juan de Fuca plate underneath the North America plate. You get the idea, but this picture shows it pretty well.
food, energy, minerals, travel. Is there all of the above?
Ocean's an important source. Yes, Mary's a good question. Some of these can have multiple answers. So oceans are an important source of energy, minerals.
All of the above.
All of the above, right? Yeah, so we talk about that a little bit and why that's important. We talk about all the cool stuff that's going on in Newport, Oregon right now with intertidal energy, right? And wave energy, stuff of the future. Thanks to Bill Hahn, Shoemaker, and many other cool people of that region. The process shown here is creating new
oceanic crust.
Nice. I miss that one all the time. Not just you. All right, and last, how does light change with increasing depth in the ocean?
Decrease.
Yeah. I know, they asked it already. Everybody says that every time. All right, there you go. So there's a Kahoot. It's so easy. And then you get this little like podium thing at the end, and it tells you, yoo-hoo, you've completed the challenge. So I have my kids take a screenshot or a photo of this. And then it also allows you to copy this and come back to the podium once your challenge is done. So like I can copy this link and put it into my Google Classroom. At the end of the quarter, I can see everybody who's played the Kahoot and give them a grade accordingly, which is super cool. That also tells me, oh, they only did 3 questions, or they did, all 25 questions or whatever. So there you go. You can make, you can put little pictures or diagrams like this one has, or you can even put little videos in here too. So they actually have to watch a little informational video and then answer the question. So you can teach with Kahoots lots of different ways.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fun ending, actually.
Well, cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a longer Kahoot, but you guys are pros, so.
Right on. I know it looks like most of everybody who is here still, well, not everybody, but most of us are board members. Was there anything else we needed to discuss? Jen, I know you mentioned a few things. We're still trying to set the date. Okay, you can maybe stop sharing and then take over too, because you're our president.
I'm trying really hard to stop sharing. Believe me. There we go. Stop sharing.
Multitasking, I know.
Woo! I've been multitasking for hours now, and I just about have lost it. Thanks everybody for your patience during this presentation. Woo!
That was great.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, you guys are awesome. You're such an easy audience, and that's one of the reasons why I love you all so very much. I want to say thank you to everybody who's been, everybody's been super supportive. I know that we're in a totally different realm than what we would normally would be, but I also want to, throw out onto the floor any ideas, suggestions. Are you all able to make it on the 20th for our meeting, which I think is what we have scheduled for now for our board meeting?
The only comment I have is if you're on holidays, Kay, and you're doing lots of stuff, maybe it would be nice for you just to be able to take that as a holiday and we could do it the next week.
I am happy to take 3 hours out of my holiday and spend it with you. So if that's a day that everybody has on their calendars and it works for folks, let's go with it. And I'm going to be at my beach cabin. Well, it's not mine. It actually belongs to my cousin, but whatever. I'm going to be at the beach. So I'll be super happy to be talking about NAME at the beach. And I will find a place with good Wi-Fi and make it work. And worst comes to worst, I can always go on my phone.
Are you going to be at that beautiful cabin on the coast there?
Yeah, the one in Tarts Bay, those Tarts Bay oysters that I was talking about earlier. I might be, eating some of those. Most likely Dungeness crab though, because man, if you haven't had my Dungeness crab jambalaya, anyway,
amazing.
You all should just come and join me. Really, just come down there. Tons of beds. You should just come. I have my shots. I'm good. I'm done. I'll be good. Anyway, no, seriously. I am willing.
20th, we're setting it for.
let's go with the 20th, because I think that that's what most people had on their calendar. Is there a certain time that does not work for anybody? I know we want to do it in 3 hours, and I know Jenny Huntley has talked about we don't need to have an 8-hour meeting. She's right, we don't. Let's just all send in our economic reports, our treasurer's reports by email. We can share other things by email, but I think the best thing is to check in, and we have lots of different committees working really hard. I'd love to hear some of the progress folks are making, and just some of the great ideas that people have that are working right now, because we all are living in a virtual world now for a year. Anyway.
I know Woody and I would be better in the later afternoon, like even like 3 or 4 p.m.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that works for other people.
Yeah, I would say ideally anytime after 11 or 11:30. I have a live presentation with work from 10 to 11. We're going to walk around the boat for haul out. So if you want to see adventurous out of the water, join us.
Woo! That'll be fun. All right, what about 3 to 6 p.m.? Would that work for most folks? That doesn't cut into the dinner hour too badly for most people?
Yeah.
3 to 6?
Yeah.
All right, I am pounding the gavel with my cell phone.
Do you want me to go ring the bell?
Yes, please ring the bell for me. Thank you. I really miss having the bell. It's not fair. I've waited so long to be president of this fantastic organization. And Kathy,
another year.
Oh, heck, Jenny, it's all you next year.
Yeah,
No.
I'm happy to give you another year.
It's all good. It's all, I haven't done that much except for try to encourage lots of aquatic and marine education with my students and maybe a few other folks in and around here. But hopefully this spring and the summer, we did get a really cool kayak trip planned with some students. So I'll talk to you about that at the board meeting. But yeah, I'm excited. We're actually, putting every student in a separate kayak, and we got a donation for a trip up and down the Willamette. So we're going to be doing some aquatic education with separate distanced kayaks. Hey, right? So anyway, that came through. Wonderful. I got 2 grants, and yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, and a donated kayak trip. So we're going to have aquascopes. We're going to have water qualities and Secchi discs. It's going to be amazing.
Awesome. So
Yeah,
we'll see you all then on the 20th. And Kay, are you going to send out an invite for that, or you'll work with Jen to do that?
Yes. So I will work with Jen to send out an invite so I don't miss anybody, because I just went off of our website for board members, but I want to make sure that I don't miss anybody's current email. So make sure that Jen has your current email, everybody, or the one that you check most often. I have far too many emails, so please forgive me if I don't get right back to you, because, well, my life is crazy with a number of emails. So don't send any to the Alaska email. I will never get it. I don't work at the University of Alaska Fairbanks anymore.
Okay,
So,
my head is empty now, but the lady who took over for Oregon?
yeah, so
right?
Carrie Heiberger, she is the director for Oregon now and runs the outdoor school that I used to run on the Oregon coast.
Is she all right though? Because I thought there was some thing where she was in the middle of that fire and they lost.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Her house, her family homestead was in right next to the fire that was cruising past that area down Karis Road, right where she lives. And thankfully it missed their home and their homestead. So they're fine. They're back in their home. Good. And although many of their neighbors' homes and a nearby outdoor school and lots of other farms were completely wiped out by the fire, theirs was missed. So she's okay. And she's still working from home. They still haven't opened up outdoor schools to kids, but they're doing virtual field trips, just kind of like I've described now, for outdoor school kids who are in 7th grade because they missed outdoor school last year as 6th graders. So that's what she's doing is virtual, lots and lots of virtual outdoor school right now. So anyway, I will make sure that, or hopefully get Carrie on board for the board meeting as well. So you all get a chance to meet her. She's fantastic and has done amazing things for lots thousands and thousands of Oregon students.
Right.
That's
So
great.
good to see all your faces, everybody.
Yeah.
Still love your
Really?
background, Orly.
Yeah.
Yeah, great background. Well,
Nice.
thank you all so much. Thank you, Kay. It was really great. Thanks for staying on late. I know you said you've been doing online classes and learning all week long. So
It's
I'm
8
sure
o'clock this morning.
you
Woo!
have- yeah, I have a whole week ahead of you. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. It's great to be with all of you. Thank you for your patience as I was trying to manage things between various different sites. But you guys are great, and thank you for all of your love. And Kathy, thank you for the thousands of times that you have backed me up when I was not available. I've had lots of family members who have been pretty critically ill in this last year, and thank you for always being there, Kathy. You're the best.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty.
Anything else?
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for the help making this happen.
Great job, Kay.
You're wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for